Every sports fan has an opinion. Well, these are ours. Welcome to Brock and Pep's Unsportsmanlike Convo.
Ready? Right.
And here are your hosts, Brock Fleming and Pep Cariotti.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is March 2nd, 2021. I'm your host, Brock Fleming, and on the other side is my co-host, P-Dog from the QC. How's it going, bud?
A lot better than last week at this time, my friend. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, good. Your back was a bit out of it, eh?
Yeah, that's putting it mildly for sure. It was a lot more. It actually ended up being my hip. So I have a slight tear in my labrum in my hip, which is, worst case scenario, it's a full tear and you need surgery, which they dislocate your hip for. Best case scenario is kind of what I have, 4 to 6 weeks, and it'll repair itself. It's already a ton better. I already have mobility and I'm able to walk without pain. But boy, oh boy, it was tough sledding for a couple of days. But I'm good.
Backs are tough, man. As soon as something goes, it's I say before I got the new bed, my back was toast, but that bed made a huge difference. So
yeah,
I would highly recommend the very firm memory foam mattress style. My wife might argue otherwise. Might be a little bit too firm. She calls it the cinder block bed. But that being said, being able to get up in the morning and get right to my feet without rolling onto the floor and then slowly helping myself up is a huge advantage for me. So
yeah. Did you get was that recommended to you by somebody?
Somebody, I can't remember if somebody actually said you need a new bed or they said check your bed, but we had it since we got married. So we were way past due date of when you should get a new mattress anyway.
Sure.
And then, getting adjusted to a bed that's made for somebody my size is obviously a big thing too. So, and then some sleeping habits. I used to be a stomach sleeper too. So
stomach sleeper, really?
Which is apparently really bad for your back as well. So I had to kind of learn to sleep on my side a bit or whatever. But anyway,
it's a big deal. Sleep's a big deal. Sleep, water, rest, and exercise. I mean, those are huge deals. And sleep, I'd put up there with like 1A when it comes to importance of overall health. So big.
Well, I've been doing well so far. It's the other stuff I got to get in line. Although I've been
one step at a time, buddy. You look good. You look good.
Getting better. The Apple Watch. Yeah, I got Ange an Apple Watch too, and a couple of my buddies have it. Curtis has it now too. So you can kind of like compete a little bit. So I get motivated by seeing, my buddy who just moved to Florida. Of course, it's in Florida. It's sunny. You want to do stuff when you're outside and when it's beautiful out. So I keep getting that he just finished, workouts or whatever. So it gives me that extra motivation that I should probably do something. So, again, whatever motivates you, I'll take it. But baby steps.
Yes, sir.
Want to shout out a big happy birthday. We got a twin happy birthday today. I don't know if on Facebook, but
two of my favorite people.
Two of our favorite people, the nicest people you'll probably ever meet. Lisa and Leah Nadon, two beautiful ladies who we went to high school with and know very well. But it's a birthday today, so we want to give you our happy birthdays from the show, and I hope you have a great day as best you can given the circumstances, and hopefully you guys get together with your family and friends and stuff as well. Anything else you want to touch upon with the intro? I watched the Biggie documentary. Do you watch that?
What?
The Biggie Smalls documentary. So I got a story to tell. It's on Netflix, and it's I would give it probably a 4 out of 5. I'm always intrigued by Biggie's story anyway, and he's one of my favorite artists. So, definitely worth the watch for sure. The other thing too is I think you touched upon this in another episode, and I wanted to give you kudos because I don't think I necessarily understood initially when you were talking about the Las Vegas Golden Knights chrome domes. You had the picture, and they had those shiny gold helmets while they were playing, and I thought, they didn't look too bad. That was my initial thing, but I saw them in the game last night, and they are awful.
They are awful.
They are absolutely awful. So you're right. I apologize. You made the call. I thought they looked okay. In a game situation, they are awful.
No, you know what? If something else was chrome on their uniform, it might work. But it's because it's the only thing that's so shiny that they're wearing. The gloves are gold, but they're not like shiny gold. So it is a really bad look. Some people liked it though.
Yeah, well, not this guy.
Not
What I
me.
did like is Mark Stone is awesome.
Oh, Mark Stone is one of maybe the top 5 player in the NHL right now.
Yeah,
Two-way player.
And think of should I have said Mark Stone when you asked me who the next best player is to Connor McDavid. I think Matt Matthews is still probably there, but Mark Stone is right up there. And I think, long term, the Sens are going to wonder how we let this guy slip, kind of thing.
Absolutely. I just want to mention, I kind of we got disconnected really quickly there. I don't even think you noticed, but I'm back.
Oh, I noticed. I kept talking until you were
Oh, good. Troy St. Louis, Leah Nadon's husband. He's a big time contributor on both our pages there. So I want to shout out him. He and I did a photo shoot like before Christmas, and he is a phenomenal photographer. I highly recommend him if you're looking for somebody. He's excellent. So yeah, no, and I didn't see the Biggie special. It was what my answer was when we were cutting off there. So thanks, Mikey.
Well, we're going to go out to a Biggie song because
Cool.
I love Biggie. And I wanted to go out to the one because this is a basketball show. I wanted to go out to the song called I Got a Story to Tell, which is also what the documentary is called. But if you listen to the I Got a Story to Tell, it's about Biggie hooking up with this girl whose boyfriend plays for the New York Knicks. And there was always this like, who is it? What player is he talking about? Because he talked about actually robbing the guy. And when he got caught, he was kind of pretending to be a robber.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, it came out in like 2006 or something like that. It was Fat Joe who said now we can kind of, Biggie has already passed. And this New York Knick had actually died too. So he came out and it was Anthony Mason.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
But I was looking for a clean version of the song, and that's just not in existence for a reason. But very good song. Yeah, good beat and stuff anyway. But we'll go out to something else.
I met Fat Joe at a Raptors game.
You sure that was him?
I'm pretty sure it was him. He was. They put the spotlight on him because there was actually the Raptors games have become a little bit like Laker games. There's always celebrities, whether it's Canadian or American, there seem to be gravitating to Toronto. So pretty cool. But yeah, he's interesting cat for sure. Big guy.
Hey, you could say you met Fat Joe. That's not bad. He's got a couple of good jokes too.
Yeah, anyway, for sure.
Not going out to him today, but
before we get into our hoops, Brock, I did want to. I popped into our green room and you guys were talking about JJ Watt, and I just quick take on him. Clearly, everybody knows he's decided to sign with the Arizona Cardinals. A little bit of a surprise for me. Is he chasing a ring or is he chasing one more big contract? I don't think Arizona is on the doorstep by any means. They're improving, young quarterback still, but you guys were talking about Chandler Jones. Those two guys are old. I mean, they've led the NFL 1 and 1A in terms of sacks in the NFL.
The last whatever.
Yeah, but I mean, do you see what Myles Garrett's doing this offseason? I saw him box jump 58 inches today. I mean, that guy's a freak. You could have gone to Cleveland, and that would have been almost impossible to scheme against those two guys, or Pittsburgh and his brother. TJ Watt was the runner-up for. Here's Mike Ferrer saying he's broken. I don't think he's quite broken, bud, but he's definitely had a few injuries with his biceps and his pec. But I don't know. I just wanted to get your take on what was his rationale for signing with the Arizona Cardinals of all the teams if he's chasing a ring.
One, and the money's there, so it was a very good contract.
Big money.
The climate of where you're going to go. Like I was talking before we started recording with one of our guests, and one of the things that Arizona is sort of notorious for, and I had this conversation about sort of, my father's got friends who up here, his wife was in a wheelchair. She couldn't walk on her own up here. They've moved to Arizona and she walks around fine. Mm-hmm. And it's the inflammation and the dryness and stuff that counteracts. So from an athletic standpoint, your body is your business. So if you can then squeeze out a couple more years because of the climate that you're playing in, and I mean,
indoor grass
bracket is or whatever, but they're not a dumpy team either. And you got old teammates that are on there. Hopkins is there. So you're past offensive star to your defensive stardom. is there. There's some hype about it. There's energy, and it just kind of all comes together. And it's not about jumping into a team just to get a ring. You know what I mean? I'm glad he didn't go to Tampa Bay to say, that's the lock for next year if we thought, or Kansas City or whatever. So if he gets a ring in Arizona, that's something that he's brought there. They haven't done it before. So, you know what I mean? He would be part of something. Otherwise, he still gets a ton of cash. His body might feel better. He's in a great place to live. And can the guy really complain?
Hey, look, and it's a calculated risk because he's going into a division that's every team in that division is in flux. San Francisco, we don't know what to expect from them. Then Garoppolo rumors, LA Rams, Seattle's a mess.
Leaving the meetings and stuff like that because it isn't like they weren't taking his thoughts about the offense and what they needed to do seriously. And
LA Rams
things. The Rams. I mean, the Rams would be probably my pick for the toughest of them. Because I think Stafford comes in really, really good, and their offensive line is really good. Anyway, I think they're the most stable out of them all.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. I think before I just wanted to also mention about Carey Price, but we'll talk. Why don't we bring our guests? They're hockey fans too. We can ask them about Carey Price when we bring them on. But before we do that, why don't we pay a bill?
Pay a bill. All right. Today's show is brought to you by Ken Tripp Real Estate. Are you buying, selling, or thinking of investing in real estate? Experience and effort where it counts the most. You can trust Ken Tripp for all your real estate needs.
Oh, that's pleasant.
Is it?
Yeah, I like that.
I got one for when you do yours, though.
Excellent. All right. Well, why don't we bring in our two guests here? That's awesome.
Okay.
Without further ado, there they are. Gentlemen, we have Dan Case and Dave Barbier, two local basketball legends.
Wow.
Oh, we got the standing ovation here. Guys, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having
us. Before we get into basketball, I wanted to ask. I had Carey Price in our early on our topics to discuss before you guys came on, but I wanted to get your opinion. So he's obviously struggling, and there's a lot of not rumors. I don't think there's any rumors that he's going to get traded, but there's certainly a lot of unhappy fans in Montreal right now with his play. And I've heard two different arguments. Yeah, he's carried the team the last 6 years. He really hasn't statistically. And I'm just going to skim over these. In 2015, 2016, they were 38-38, didn't qualify for the playoffs. 2016, 2017, first round loss. 27, 2018, they were 29-40, didn't qualify. The year after, didn't qualify. Last year they shouldn't have even been in the bubble. They were so awful, but they got in through a play-in tournament with Pittsburgh, and then they won that. Okay, he caught fire, but then they lost to Philly in what was actually equivalent to the first round. Is Carey Price just not as good as people think he is, or what's the deal?
So, Pat, before Dan jumps in, you do understand that you're talking right now to Dan Case, Maple Leafs fan who doesn't know what a playoff victory looks like, right? So you gotta be careful asking him about playoff successes because I don't really know if Dan knows what that is.
What was it? 69? What was the last cup?
67.
67. Oh, hey. Well, let me ask Dan first then. Again, we don't want to spend all day on hockey because we have a lot of ball talk, but Carey Price, what's the deal? What's going on in Montreal right now with him? Is it in his head?
Yeah, you know what? I think that they got Jake Allen for this very reason, right? To let Carey Price get it right when it's fallen off the rails, to rest so that they don't overwork him. That's why he's there. But last year, Carey Price showed you exactly what his worth was by stealing a playoff series himself. So he can do that still. And so if he gets it right, they're going to be fine. I don't think the team in front of them is as good as many people think it is. They have a stud defense with Petrie and Weber. It gets kind of thinner afterwards, but
a lot thinner.
Yeah, but they have no dynamic presence up front. Any scoring is by committee. I I just think that there's bigger problems on that team than Carey Price, and the Carey Price problem has a nice solution with Jake Allen to buy him some time.
Yeah, I'd echo everything you just said. My only question with all of it is, are they paying him too much, and is that a challenge? Are they able to put the right pieces around him when you're putting, is it $10.5 million in the price? Something like that?
Yep.
Right. And so that would be my kind of question with it all is that hurting their flexibility to be able to move forward when you're putting, I would say, probably too much money into a goaltender?
2007 to 2014, his goals against was a shade over 2. He had 1 year where it was 196. So great goals against. And then the last 6 years, it's been over 3 each year. So, now that might correspond with a change in when Markov leaving and Subban being traded. I don't know. Like you said, it's not a super dynamic team, especially they're kind of slow-footed on the defensive end. I like Romanov a lot, but I don't know. And we have a writer, Brock. I can't read that. Can you read that?
Yeah, it's a comment from Seb Lamarche saying Price is still elite. Montreal isn't great in front of him. They have 2D and a few goal scorers. They did pay him way too much to be able to build around him.
Agreed.
And I agree. From a goalie standpoint, unless you're losing 7-6 every night, you can't just say this is the reason. Goalies can steal games for sure. They can lose you games, but Carey Price is not out there throwing, goose eggs on the ice where it's like, look, they can just shoot whatever they want on him. He's still a very, very solid goaltender. He will steal games for you, which he will, but ultimately it's still a team game. He's got to have some support. He's got to have some scoring stuff. Like, it's Freddie Anderson, the worst goalie around either? No, he's great. But when he gets criticized, it's oftentimes because the defense is not that great in Toronto, and they need to beef that up too. So you just can't throw a goalie as being the make or break. Carey Price is elite, and I think any team would love to have him.
And I'll just end by saying I like him. Don't get me wrong. Like I've always been a fan of his. I've been a hard critic of his, but I mean, ultimately, he's great off the ice. What he does off the ice is just tremendous stuff. And on the ice, he's a cool cucumber. Sometimes too cool, maybe. It might be the criticism on him, but we'll see what happens. This is going to be a very interesting year. If he doesn't improve, we may see Patrick Wofford, Jocelyn Thibault, and a bunch of other guys. We'll see what happens. But let's get into basketball. This is why we got you guys here. Okay, you guys are the X's and O's wizards. All right, you're both good basketball players to boot. We're going to put on the full court press here. Raptors, we're basically at midseason. I think there are a couple more games. Their game tonight was postponed due to COVID tracing and protocol. I guess there's a couple people tested positive on the staff. So they play Detroit tomorrow night. They're a couple games away from being at the midseason mark. Raptors grades. Let me start with you, Dan. What would you grade their first half of the season? And are there any pleasant surprises and disappointments in terms of players on the team right now?
Yeah, I think they're exactly where I thought they'd be. Fighting for a playoff spot, 7-8 seed when they get in. Maybe they could surprise and get at 6 only because the teams that they're chasing they're so close together, right? So I'd give them a B because I'm not disappointed. I'm not excited. I see them where they should be. In terms of surprises, I like what Boucher's bringing to the table. He's athletic. He can shoot it a bit. He's just not intimidating though. And for the position that they need him to play, they need somebody that scares people from driving to the basket, that they can't body when they're trying to get position for rebounds and so forth. And yeah, he's long and he's athletic, but he's small. Overall stature is small. So that's a bit disappointing in some senses, but a surprise in terms of how much he's actually given them in their scoring. I also like this kid, Yuta Watanabe. I love him when he's on the end. I feel energized watching him when he plays. He comes out, he gets after it. He shoots it a little bit.
Yep.
You know what? He reminds me of Siakam before Siakam became what he is now. Except he's not nearly as athletic as Siakam was. It's just that energy. When Siakam would come on, it'd be like, 15 minutes of sprinting up and down the court and just causing a havoc. And this is what this kid does. So I love it. And
he reminds me of Matt Bonner.
Oh, I think he's more athletic than Matt Bonner was.
The Red Rocket. Yeah.
I think he's got more athleticism.
I'm surprised he survived that dunk off Anthony Edwards the other night. Did you see that dunk? Minnesota Timberwolves put him on a poster.
You know what, though, Pep? Going for that anyway, because so many guys would just back out of the picture, right?
He went for it.
He competed, and that's what I'm talking about. That's what's refreshing. Yes, he's got posterized, and he's going to be remembered for all the wrong things. But when you see guys actually go out there and compete, despite the fact that they're going to get posterized, that's kind of fun.
I just realized, I'm pretty sure he was a Florida player. So I just Googled him. I'm like, yeah, he was. He played at the
Watanabe or Edwards?
Sorry, Bonner.
Oh yeah, Matt, the Red Rocket. Worst. I'm kind of off track. Worst dunk. Worst poster, I should say. Watanabe or Brandon Knight when DeAndre Jordan dunked on him.
Watanabe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
What about Vince Carter's over that 7-foot French guy?
You know what? The guy didn't go down. He stayed standing. I thought he held his own. Sorry, I cut you off, Dan. Your disappointment.
Oh yeah. So I think Siakam is a disappointment. I know. You know what? If you're going to put star power, prestige behind his name, then he's got to live up to it. Like if you're gonna say we're gonna let a guy like Leonard, I mean they fought like heck to get him, but he was anointed the next one after Leonard left, and he's not there. And if he's not there, if he can't rise to that cream, then they're going to be searching for that elite talent. Freddie going off for 50, that's amazing, but night in and night out, Siakam has to be the go-to option. And he's reminding me too much of DeMar. When the ball gets to him, it dies. And he wants to dribble with his back to the basket. And he wants to play an old school kind of basketball in the half court. And it's not the way the game's built anymore. His game is getting up and down the court, scoring in transition, knocking down a few shots, and attack on a swing. He needs to be an option through the offense, not the option to start the offense. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, and absolutely. I think that's very disappointing. They kill the mojo when the ball gets in his hand and he holds it. So that's disappointing. And I actually had higher expectations of Anunoby going into the season. I wanted him to take another level offensively. He is such a stud defensively that if he can knock down some shots and maybe finish a bit in transition, if he can give you 15 to 20 a night, then you're pretty good. I'm not asking him to be the guy, but he needs to be a consistent scorer for them. And he's not there. Like some nights he's putting up single digits, and you wonder if even, it was on the court. So,
yeah. Dave?
Oh, I love when Dan talks because I just shake my head in disbelief. So it's good times.
You should take notes.
I've got all my notes right here. My guys on my show
when I talk
all the time. Oh, I don't need to. I'll remember them. Man. Have you watched the Raps lately, Dan? Would be my kind of question, because the last dozen games plus, like they're not the same team that they were when they started the season. So I'm giving them a B plus, and I almost wanted to go into the A levels with them because of how well they played in the last dozen games. When we talk about people that I'm happy with, I just kept on rhyming off names. Freddie is leading. He is doing what he's been asked to do. He's giving them 20 points a game, making great decisions, running the offense. How about the 1.7 steals a game? If he doesn't get a defensive nod this year, my goodness.
Travesty.
How about 0.8 blocks a game, which for some people, if you don't follow, like I'm a big fantasy guy, the kid is 6 feet tall, listed at that. There's no way he's 6 feet tall, and he's almost getting a block a game. Come on. He's got to make you happy. You're killing Siakam for how he started the season. If you watch the last 10, 12 games, he's pushing into triple-double zone. He got a triple-double. He missed it by an assist one of the games. He was right there a game afterwards. He is recognizing what he is, which is as you mentioned well, a open floor, run it, all of that. In the half-court offense, look to drive, draw, and kick. And he's doing that. And he's getting assists up. He's at 4.8 assists a game. I will gladly take that. I will agree with you. When Leonard left, we were like, Kawhi's gone. Who's going to be the guy? And everyone was like, Siakam's ready. And I don't think, obviously he hasn't proven that he's ready. And I don't think he's a number one. I think he's a number two. And I think Freddie is probably a great floor general, a la kind of Kyle Lowry. another type of number 2. And the Raps are missing a true legit number 1.
Yep.
Saying that you're not happy with what OG is doing, like OG's giving you 14 a game. You said 15 to 20. He's giving you 14. He's doing great on defense. Like, man, watching Dan and Barbs is like watching Elliot Freeman and
You got a fan, boys. You got a fan.
Fair. I hear you on Boucher. When you say he could shoot it a little bit, come on, pull up some numbers. 45% from 3 is what Boucher's shooting.
He's shooting incredible.
That's a little more than shooting.
He's attempting 5 a game. So
45% and a 5 a game is right. Boucher's been fantastic. The positives for the Raptors are go, 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 go. When you look at what Powell's been doing, he's been fantastic, and I sure hope they trade him and get some good value for him because his contract's done at the end of the year. My only unhappy things was, and I completely guessed it wrong when we did our show way back when, was the center position. Baines has been awful. I thought Baines was going to be so much more. He did really well in Phoenix. I was expecting good things from him, and he's been trash.
Bad fit.
Which is the problem. It ended up being a bad fit, and they talk a lot about that, where people didn't maybe realize how complex Nick Nurse's stuff was, and people didn't and still don't. And I kept on bugging one of our buddies, PK, about this. He killed Marc Gasol last year. I'm like, you don't understand all the little things Marc Gasol is doing. You just don't. Marc Gasol is so cerebral, and he's doing little things that you aren't seeing, and I expect more from you. You should know better than that, PK, if he's listening right now. Chime in, PK, if you're listening.
PK, if you're listening, let's go.
Yeah, I think the Raps are doing really, really well. And saying that they're going to fight for a playoff spot is ridiculous. They're clearly going to be in the playoffs. It's going to end up being, in some order, Philly and the Bucks and Brooklyn in the top 3. And then after that, there's every reason to say that the Raps are right there. And they're right there right now when you look at who's in those spots. But we'll talk about all of the standing stuff later.
Yeah, a little later on, we're going to pull up the standings. Brock, do you have anything you want to chime in terms of the Raptors and their season first half of this season so far?
No, I think I wanted to more ask their thoughts on the potential trading of a guy like Kyle Lowry at this point. Are the Raptors better without him? I mean, the record states that it might be, but is it ready for Toronto to sort of turn that page? And I know he's asking to be traded to Philly if he was to be traded. Is that something that the Raptors should explore? Is there a big man or somebody that can come back that Philly has that Toronto might be able to take advantage of? Or do we just kind of stay the course and maybe in free agency or not free agency, but in some other sort of trade outside of Kyle Lowry, maybe a Powell or somebody to get somebody back in return? What are they missing? And is Kyle Lowry a trade? Is that something they can identify those issues with? You go first, Daniel.
Yeah, I think because they're going to be, if they get into the playoffs, they're going to be one and done. They're not beating the Bucks or Philly or, I don't see it anyway. There's Pep.
Guys, Brooklyn's number 2, right now. They're
the Nets for sure.
Yeah.
So Pep said on his on the UC Facebook page, and I totally agree with it. This two point guard system that they like to run, it ain't working anymore. Teams have figured some things out with it. It's not as deadly as it once was. And he just paid Van Vliet, so you can't trade him. So the guy that goes is Lowry, and I love the fit in Philly. If Lowry goes to Philly, I think it's between Philly and Brooklyn for the East, and probably Philly gets the edge if he goes to, depending on what they have to give up to get him. So I love the fit in Philly. He's from there. It's a good fit. What are you going to get back? So what do we need? They need a big up the middle that can protect the rim, that can knock down a few shots. Their system relies on athleticism, so he's got to be somewhat athletic. Ibaka would have been perfect, in many ways. But obviously he's not in Philly, so that's not what they're getting. So I don't know how they get that from Philly, but that's what they need. But I think Lowry belongs in
a third team would have to get involved, I think.
Yeah. 3-way somewhere, 3 or 4 even.
Yeah. I think the big thing is Lowry has to get traded because his contract's up at the end of the year, and you don't want him walking for free. You want to do right by him and send him to a playoff contender. I think you owe that to him for everything he's done to the franchise, and I think that that's what the Raps are going to do. And so you look at the options that they have out there in terms of trade partners. And Philly obviously makes sense since he's from Philly. The problem is what you get in return. So the chatter for Philly coming back is Danny Green, Seth Curry, and Tony Bradley is the chatter. Well, Tony Bradley is an unknown drafted guy, and maybe we'll see. I like Seth Curry. He's done really, really well. Danny Green, no thank you. Expiring contract, whatever. I guess you could flip it somewhere else. But really, you got to get kind of a three-way trade going there to get some other valuable stuff. And if I'm Philly, as much as I want Lowry, I'd like to try to find some other way to do that, which I don't know how they do salary cap-wise, because they've been built this year on the fact that they've added better shooting, which Green and Curry have been giving them. And so that's a problem. I've said from day one, the logical spot to trade him to is Dallas. Dallas is underachieving right now, and Lowry would really help out a young kid like Doncic of figuring stuff out there. They're a team that saved their cap space to be able to make runs at people, and it hasn't worked out when Giannis resigned and all that stuff. We can get Canadian boy Dwight Powell from them. We can get a young, serviceable Finney Smith on the edges, which I like, and then look into getting some picks and stuff like that. The problem is they've got their first-round pick traded this year for to the Knicks in that Porzingis deal. Yeah. To me, the other spot that really makes sense is the Clippers, because Zubac fits what we need in the middle. He's on a really team-friendly contract for the next 3 years, I think it is. And to me, they move Beverly and they move Lou Williams in the deal. But I don't want Beverly or Lou Williams. So again, three-way deal. You got to look to be moving those pieces out elsewhere. And I'm like playing fantasy kind of thing right now, thinking, look, if Masai's smart and he can get Zubac in and he can flip Lou Williams or Pat Beverly over to Philadelphia, where they played for Doc already, and if Doc wants either of them, we can get a piece from them. If they can flip one of those guys over to a Miami, like to me, I would send Lou Williams to go play with Doc. I would send Beverly over to Miami and see if you can get from Miami something like Robinson or Hero in a deal and work some of that kind of magic. On top of it, the Raps need to trade Powell because Powell's done at the end of the year. So I sure hope they move Powell, and I hope they move Lowry, and you're not winning this year. So build for the future and get some assets.
Nothing worse than when a player of those caliber leave without getting anything in return.
Yeah.
Masai won't let that happen. I
agree with you.
I think the Raptors, I gave them an A because they started 2-8 and now they're 18 and 17.
I almost wrote an A. I thought Dan would kill me if I wrote an A.
Look, there's, considering how they started and, how difficult it's been playing in Tampa and away from their home and everything that they've had to go through. No other team in the NBA has had to deal with what they've had to deal with this year. And for them to even be in the conversation after starting 2-8, I'm going to give them an A. My pleasant surprise is Boucher. The guy, he's 18 and 10 every night. I don't care how you get it. He's getting it. And he's blocking 2 or 3 shots a game. I mean, he's played outstanding. Does he get bullied? Yeah, he gets bullied. He's skinny. He's not going to get a whole lot bigger. But he does intimidate to a certain degree. He does alter shots, just not your prototypical center. My disappointment is Baines, too. Look, guys, there's a reason Gasol didn't resign there, okay? To play center for the Raptors, you got to work. You're up and down the court. You're the first guy on offense. You're the first guy on defense. And you're screen and roll. You're defending screen and roll. Gasol's like, you know what? I'm 30, whatever. I'm good. I just got a title. I'm going to go to LA where I don't have to do a whole lot. And it's beautiful out here. That's the reason why Baines is struggling. It's too much work for a guy like him. He was just a grinder. So they're asking him to run up and down the court. He can't keep up half the time. So I thought he's adjusted a little bit recently, but he can't keep up. And Terrence Davis has been a huge disappointment. I thought he was going to, in year 2, I thought he was going to take a real step forward, but he had some of that off the court stuff.
I was going to say, do you think the off-court issues have affected him?
Oh, for sure. It affected his playing time even. Yep. I mean, I think he fell on the depth chart behind Bembry and Stanley Johnson.
I was going to say, that's part of it as well, right? Bembry comes in, and I thought Bembry was going to take Hollis Jefferson's minutes, but Bembry's cut into a bunch of people's minutes.
Hey, the guy works hard. Guy works hard. So I like where the Raptors are. I'll just quickly touch upon Lowry. You look, all those guys you mentioned do not help the Raptors right now. I think if Dallas makes a little sense, Seth Curry, you might as well keep Lowry if you're going to get Seth Curry in return. It's the same player. It's just, he doesn't defend as well as Lowry. They shoot the three.
Doesn't matter. But Seth Curry signed after this year. Lowry's gone for nothing.
Well, you need to get more. You can't just settle. I don't think Seth Curry helps.
You get whatever you can get.
And I think the East is wide open. I actually think the East is completely wide open. I think that the Knicks being fourth place should suggest that the East is completely wide open this year. I don't think it's out of the realm that they can make the finals with 1 or 2 deals just to help. And I think Porzingis makes a lot of sense for them. I think if you're going to trade him to Dallas, you bring Porzingis back with one of their guards, and away we run. So I don't know. That's my take on the Raptors. What do you guys feel about that?
You're giving them an A, Pep, and they started 2-8. So if they don't start 2-8 and they're 18-17, do they get an A? Like me, for them starting 2-8 is part of my assessment of how they're where I thought they would be, because they're going to have stretches where they suck and they're going to have stretches where they look good.
I don't know if they'll go like a contender.
Are we in the teachers' lounge right now?
No kidding. No one had them at 2-8. Come on. They are the number 1 team in the East in the month of February.
Yeah, they're playing,
and you're giving them a B. They're the number 1 team in the East.
Lose their entire front court. No off season, no practice. I mean, I wasn't surprised
to start the season in a shortened season like this, not at home, dealing with all this stuff. It would have been really easy for them to pack it in.
Easy,
100%. I give them a pass for that start. 100%.
Yep. If at the beginning of the season you told me they were going to be 18-17 at this point, I'd say, yeah. I don't care how they got there, but I figured they'd be 18-17.
Yeah.
You know? Totally.
Dan's crystal ball is magical, people. Just listen to everything he says. It's gold.
Thank you.
Got a couple of sound bites from the last one, and it's actually not too far off.
Okay, gentlemen. Okay, I think it's going to be an exciting second half. I think we're all looking forward to seeing what the Raptors end up doing. Really quickly, DeMar DeRozan's game. I've been watching him the last few nights. It's crazy. I heard that Brian Windhorst from ESPN mentioned Lowry as somebody on that's out there for potential trade, but he also mentioned the Spurs have dangled DeMar DeRozan, legit dangled him out there, maybe to do right by him because they're probably not going to get out of the West. But like DeMar DeRozan for me is, well, numbers wise, he's the most efficient player in the NBA. I know that, while he was in Toronto, he'd kind of bogged down the offense with the dribble and the pound but he's so efficient. He's learned to take a shot a little quicker into the shot clock rather than like wear it all the way down. Have you guys seen him play lately? And if you have, what do you think of his game in San Antonio?
Spurs are a good fit for him. Of course they're dangling him because they've got all the cap space in the world next year. I think they've got the number 1 open space next year because he's off their books. Rudy Gay's off their books.
So is Aldridge, I think,
Marcus
too.
Aldridge is off their books. So yeah, they know they're not winning. It doesn't matter that they're in a playoff spot right now. They're not winning with that team. And they need to move those veterans to spots where they can get some assets back, just like the Raptors need to move their pieces to get assets back. So, of course, they're going to dangle them. DeRozan has all sorts of things that he can bring to the table. I will still say what I said at the start of the year in terms of his lack of being able to stretch the floor, to me, is a challenge. I know that his three-point shooting has gotten a bit better. He rarely shoots it. And I think when we get into a playoff situation where we're getting less rotations coming in, et cetera, less players coming into the lineup, to me, he doesn't fit these different contending teams that I'm looking at. When you look at all the top teams in the league, what do they do really well? Shoot threes. Why has Utah made such a jump this year? Their three-point shooting is off.
Oh, here we go.
Charts,
Look
right?
at Dan. Dan's
Dan can smile all he wants. That doesn't matter. We'll get into that later, I'm sure. But if you look at all the top teams in the league, it's the best three-point shooting teams. And DeRozan is not that. And so as much as he'll bring some value somewhere, I would look at him like options for places for him to go. Dallas and Denver, to me, make the most sense. Simply because you're looking at young teams who could use a veteran presence in the locker room. And that is almost more valuable than some of the on-the-court skills that he brings to the table, although obviously he brings some of that as well.
So I'm not going to give Barbs too much love here, but I do actually agree with some of the things he said here. I have him going to Denver's a great fit, in my opinion. If Denver gets him, they go from a team that's going to be mid to bottom half of the playoff team in the West to a contender, because they'll be a three-headed monster, which is what I think you need. Unless you have LeBron James on your team, you need three pieces now, and he instantly gives them that in Denver.
Let me just quickly, can you soundbite that for me, Brock? That you need three pieces, because we'll need that when we talk about Utah. Okay, keep going, Dan.
They got 3 pieces. But I agree, though, that I think there's still some shortcomings to DeRozan's game that maybe don't show up on the stat sheet. I haven't watched as much. I've only maybe seen 3 or 4 Spurs games all year and only parts of all those. But they're still seeming to put him in strategic matchups defensively. He's not a liability like he was in Toronto per se, but it still seems that they really have to Pop really has to game plan about who he's going to match him up with in order to protect his defensive liabilities. So I'm not sure he should get the love that Pep is saying, but he deserves a little bit more than what he gets, because yes, I think Pep's right. He's efficient as all get out. I think his shot's better than Dave's given credit for, and
he shoots the 3-point at I'd love to fact check his 3-point percentage. It's pretty high. He doesn't take a lot, but he can hit it. And if he goes to a team that says, "Look, we need you to hoist up a few more threes," he's more than capable. He just likes to do it the hard way. I can't. How many and ones does he have? He's been spectacular. And look, the Spurs are 17-12 in large part because of what he's doing.
He'd be a good fit in Golden State too.
Wiggins is just a mess, and I think that if there's a way to ship Wiggins out somewhere to Siberia and bring in a guy like DeRozan, that's probably a good call. I think the Raps should check in.
Pep, I think you need to go play for them, okay? Because DeRozan shoots the 3 at 32%, and I know you shoot it better than that.
I shoot more.
Shooting it better. You're right.
I shoot it better.
He's 32% this year compared to 25% last year.
He can't shoot the 3.
He can't. It doesn't matter. You can't shoot 32% in this league and be an important piece on a contending team. You just can't. Not 32%. I thought it was higher than 32, so I fact checked it for you.
As of this morning, the Celtics seem to be the team the most interested, which I find very interesting. Him and Tatum would be outstanding if they can hang on to Jaylen Brown somehow and not have to deal with him. That'd be talk about 3-headed monsters. I don't know if Kemba Walker's working there. Guys, just really quickly, Boogie Cousins out there. Teams that are interested are the usual suspects: Celtics, Lakers, Clippers, Warriors. What's the best fit for him in a word or two?
Lakers, one word.
Yeah, you think he fits with the Lakers?
100% fits with Lakers.
Well, who's going to sit?
Who's going to sit? Anthony Davis for the next 5 weeks.
Then when he comes back, who sits? Gasol or
Harold?
Comes
back, we saw last year in the playoffs that depending on the matchup, Harold can't play, right? And so it all depends on who they're up against. If they run into Denver, Harold's not seeing the floor. You can't put him out there against Jokic. You need to have a body against him. We saw last year that what did they do against him? They body against Jokic. Yep. That's what Cousins can bring. And so it'll be Gasol and him going, and they'll pick little spots when Jokic is off to be able to put Harold in. But Harold's not giving the Lakers this year what he gave the Clippers last year. His points are way down to like 12 or 13. So I don't think that you have to worry about who you're going to sit. I think that you, as the Lakers, are just adding pieces for situational needs, just like the Cavs did way back when LeBron was there. They added Channing Frye because they needed some three-point shooting, but Frye only played in the spots where they needed him. That's what Cousins will bring. And it makes all the sense in the world, especially with an unknown Davis Achilles. Like, that's a scary. As soon as you say a player and an Achilles, I'm scared out of my mind.
With a player who's gained a few pounds over the offseason, and that's always scary.
Who's had a history of injury issues too.
Yeah, Dano.
Yeah, I like him in. I got a few spots for him. I like him in Dallas. I think he'd be a good upgrade over Powell in Dallas. I would love to see him go to Phoenix. Actually, you have Chris Paul feeding him, and then he doesn't have to be the focal point. He could be a supporting cast, kind of like what Dave's saying. The Bucks would be a decent fit. I'm not a big fan of. I like Giannis as a stud, but I'm not a big fan of Lopez. And the sleeper team, if they're buying, would be the Knicks. He would be a good fit in New York. The problem is New York might eat him up.
If I'm the Knicks, I don't know if I want to do anything right now. Everything's clicking, and would he work with Tibbs? Tibbs is a hard coach to play for. That's an interesting team. Sorry, Dan, we got Brock. We got some Cap City Beat comments coming in.
Yeah. So our big boss man Kwame gave us a little heads up on Messenger there that we're getting some comments through the Cap City Beats, the new app that they have. So
that's good.
We haven't been seeing the comments, and I don't think we could pull them up on screen necessarily, but we got an active listener who goes by the name of the Minnesota Rister.
Ah, that's PK. Okay. That's Kirkham.
That's Kirkham?
Yes, it is.
He said, next time get some guests that know something about sports like trim and slick. And he said, these guys aren't b-ball legends. Wayne Daly is.
Whoa. Oh, my goodness.
No disputing that. No
Kirkham's bringing the heat. Pat Kirkham, one of the nicest guys I ever met, next to these two. Yeah, he's a great cool. Any other comments, Brock, before we move on?
No, he was just talking about Case's take on Utah at the start of the season was bang on, which
well, that's the sort of the last. Do we have an image of the team standings? That was the next topic I wanted to discuss here.
East or West?
Let's go West first.
West
so Dan,
first.
Let's get Dan out of the way here. Okay, I'm going to open this up a bit.
I'm just going to play this just because we're talking about the West. And I don't know if I check my spectacles, but it looks like Utah's in number 1.
Yeah.
Let me see here. Let's get this.
So I got my little sleeper pick for you. I think the easy pick is the Clippers. I'm not a Paul George fan, so I'm not putting the Clippers in this conversation yet. Utah. I'm liking Utah. They showed last year with their run. They didn't have Bogdanovich, and they made their run last year. Rudy Gobert changes people's approach to the game. He forces you to have to pull up for shots. He's a beast on the boards. And then Donovan Mitchell, if he had a second option to score, I think they go to the West Finals against the Lakers last year. And so with the healthy Bogdanovich, I think they're in. They're deep enough. They've got English coming off the bench. They've got Favors. They've got
he goes right
Clarkson.
in.
They're capable NBA role players. But the ball will go through Mitchell. Bogdanovich will hit some shots, and Gobert will defend the rim. And if Mike Conley does anything close to what he did in the bubble, they'll be fine.
Okay, so congratulations, Dan. You've been bang on so far. Brock, can we pull that up again just really quickly?
Oh yeah, sorry.
No problem.
Here's the response.
Can we just preamble what the question was though? Because I don't think the question was regular season. And for all of you listeners, we've been talking on the Facebook page about the question. And maybe I'm wrong, but what I remember the question being is who is a threat to the Lakers for the title? And what we've talked about off air, so I'm kind of doubling up on some of the stuff that we've talked in our chat group, but I don't care what you do in the regular season. I'm pretty sure that we had an amazing Atlanta Hawks team that was for 60 wins a couple years back with Horford and Teague and that group, and they got swept in the playoffs. So show me what you do in the playoffs, because teams like the Lakers and the Clippers, regular season doesn't mean jack. Right now, it's all about what are you going to do in the playoffs. And when we get to this, and maybe we've got a little soundbite from tonight from earlier on, Dan, where he said, you got to have a three-headed monster unless you've got LeBron James. So let's three-headed monster this, because all of you basketball fans can tell me that Donovan Mitchell is a star, and that's our head number 1. Head number 2 is Jordan Clarkson, everyone. And if you're not a big basketball fan, you don't even know who the heck that is. And number 3 is Mike Conley. So come on, man. That is not a three-headed monster. The only way that Utah wins, and I will own it, I would love it if Utah was able to win it, because they play team ball, they play the game properly, they defend fantastic, and I would be happy to eat my words. And I would put a lot of money on it that I'm not going to eat my words, because that team is going to get eaten alive by a Lakers team, because they do not have a second threat. And the Lakers are going to shut Donovan Mitchell down, and then you're asking for Clarkson to be your man? Come on.
I think Rudy Gobert is more of a threat than you give him credit for, Dave.
12 points a game?
What's that?
12 points a game.
14 is he's a double machine. And
right,
he's
14.
a presence. And he's a presence. I think it's the reason why he doesn't score more than 14 is because Mitchell scores the rest. And you got Bogdanovich burying shots. You got Connolly still going to be, doing the things that he's been doing this year and last year in the bubble. He's not broken yet, although I don't know how much longer he has. This is their time. And I think the question last year, just to clarify, Dave, was who can push the Lakers? Who can contend against? Actually, the question was who's going to surprise in the West. I said Utah's my surprise team. When they match up with the Lakers and the Clippers this year, it doesn't even look close. It didn't even look close.
Regular season is in playoffs.
But if you're the Lakers, you've got that team there, and they're ahead of you, and you want to make a statement, and you come out and play like that.
Regular season is in playoffs. We'll talk about this once playoffs happens because, and again, I hope I eat my words because I'd love to see a team win. I've had this talk with PK in our phys ed department at SRB for years now. You need a legit top 5, top 10 player to win in the NBA. I don't think Mitchell's there yet. The last time we had a team win a title without one of those kind of players was the Pistons back in 2002.
2004. 2004. I was just going to mention the Detroit.
The last time. And I love the fact that they were able to do a team ball. But since then, you've got a stud. And it's whether or not Mitchell can be that level of stud. And if I asked you, Dan, to rhyme off your top 10 players in the league, you're not putting Donovan Mitchell in that top 10.
Oh, I think I am.
Yeah, I'm putting Mitchell.
I'm saying he's close. He's in that range. He's close. I'm just not putting him there yet.
So if Miami can get to the finals with that roster that they had last year, the Utah Jazz could.
We're not talking about making it to finals. We're talking about winning it.
And they're going to have to get through the favorites in the West.
Yes.
But
So many better. The contention against the Lakers is real simple. The Lakers. That's their competition. The health of Anthony Davis is the reason why they don't win. Otherwise, they're winning. I mean, they run into a Brooklyn team that puts it all together. Then the star power there, I'd be curious. I mean, if we're going to talk about the East, they're the team that really scares me if I'm a Lakers team or whoever for a title, because as a major hater on James Harden, he's turned me around. I watch how Harden plays with that team. He's actually defending. He's actually passing the ball. His triple-double last night was off the charts. The added part to the triple-double, 0 turnovers last night. Crazy.
So, I mean, and when we're sticking with the West really quickly, we're kind of getting short on time here. But a team that disappointed me this year or has disappointed me is the Pelicans. Yeah. I thought they'd come out and fight for that 7th or 8th seed, and they're not. They're not even in if the playoffs were to start tomorrow, they're not in it. I like what Zion brings on the court. He's not polished enough quite yet, and they haven't surrounded him with really that great a team. I mean, Brandon Ingram is still developing. He doesn't have that killer instinct. Lonzo Ball, I mean, if his trajectory right now is bust for a first-round pick. He played well last night, but he's been, he's a no-show most nights, I find. LaMelo or Lonzo right now, if you had to choose one?
Oh, LaMelo. It's not close.
Yeah. It's not even close, right?
Not close.
No. They beat the Jazz, eh?
What's that? Sorry, the Pelicans.
They just beat the Jazz.
Yeah, they're loaded with talent. They've got Steven Adams at center. They've got a good guards with Bledsoe and Lonzo and JJ Redick. But I think they've underachieved. And I thought they were going to do a lot better under Stan Van Gundy. Sorry, we're going to have to roll through a couple of other questions here. Are the Knicks for real?
No.
That's 18 and 17 sitting in the 4th seed. Julius Randle's having an all-world season. That team's playing defense. Brock shaking his head.
No, I'm saying they're playing above what they are right now, and I think it just catches up to them.
You think so?
Yeah. Yes.
In a short season like this, you just never know. Okay, I tend to agree with all you guys, but I mean, I'm going to give them a little bit of credit for turning it around. And, some of these veteran guys are playing hard. Dan, do you have a Knicks?
Yeah, I want to believe that they're real. I mean, everyone loves to hate the Knicks, and you can't hate the Knicks until they're good. So I want them to be good. You know what I mean? But
the league's better when they're good. The league is overall better.
That's
and
fair.
RJ Barrett, I think, still has a few more levels to climb to, and he's good enough to do it. I'd worry a bit about where's Randall at. I think Randall has a physique of a stud. He's never been asked to be this important, and he's living up to it. I think it all revolves around whether or not he can keep that going.
For sure. We're not going to be able to get to our last topic, I don't think, but really quickly here, the All-Star game, it's awesome or awful? One word.
Awful.
Awful.
Really awful.
Horrible.
The dunk contest this year, I don't even know half these guys. Anthony Simons, I've never even heard of him. Cassius Stanley and Obi Toppin are the three guys confirmed in the dunk contest. We know who Toppin is. Who are the other two guys? Why bother?
To be fair, if you look back at past dunk contests, we've had a lot of that in the last chunk of years, and you get these people you don't know about who aren't getting a lot of playing time, and guess what they're doing in practice then? Working on their dunks. So they're probably going to be phenomenal dunkers. You just don't know who they are. But you didn't know who Aaron Gordon was that much before he went off. That would be my kind of say on that.
I would have.
Gordon never won either, didn't he? Didn't he get
tied?
He got robbed.
Yeah, agreed.
Best dunk ever. The thing about the All-Star game, Pep, this year, when you got teams losing games because of COVID, canceling games, and then you bring all these people from different teams together. It's stupid. It doesn't make any sense.
Yep.
I didn't even like it. I didn't even really care about the game itself. I watch a dunk contest and stuff, but I didn't watch a game. So let's get rid of the All-Star game altogether, but definitely this year.
Yeah, agreed, 100%. And finally, the Nets. We didn't talk a lot about them today. They've pushed up to second place now in the East, and they're doing all this recently without KD. Super job by Kevin Nash here. We got the standings here. The Knicks.
WWE Kevin Nash.
Yeah. Did I say Kevin?
You did.
Oh my God! Sorry, Steve Nash.
In the notes that you had Bryant Westbrook, and I was like,
yeah, Bryant Westbrook.
I'm like, you got the tackle.
Is it Russell Westbrook? Oh my God, guys,
Russell.
It's been a long week. I've been on back meds and all that. It's just terrible. I think Nash is doing a great job with those big egos. I think Kyrie he's hit or miss some nights. He looks like he's disinterested, but he's still playing well. But it's a good fit, and Harden is deferring, believe it or not. He said, "I'll play point guard," and he had a really efficient triple double last night. The Nets are looking good. I thought they traded all their guts, but they're looking pretty good. In a couple words or less, Nets in terms of their the potential for them to make it to the finals and get out of the East. What do you think?
For me, talk to me when we hit the playoffs. Same as we talked about earlier.
Okay.
The chances to get out of the East, I think, are really good because I don't believe in the Sixers. I don't believe in Doc at all. I don't believe in the Bucks, and I am saying that Brooklyn's coming out of the East. But can they actually put it together to beat the team in the West? And I think that they are really lucky that they're in the East, because if they were in the West, they would be lower in the seeding. They'd run into a much more difficult challenge earlier in the playoffs. They're going to end up dealing with minimal challenges in the East in the playoffs and grow a little bit because of that, and that's going to help them when they make it to the NBA Finals. Whereas in the West, they'd hit that bump early, and I'd be curious to know how they handled it.
The thing about the Nets that surprised me this year is, and I should have seen it coming, is Harden goes to the Nets. He left Houston in such disarray. It was a bad leave for him. He looked like the villain, right? So now he's got something to prove. And you get a stud, an MVP type player that has something to prove and motivated, you're going to get some pretty good results. I think you're seeing that right now. That's why he's defending. He looks like he's already trimmed down. Remember preseason what he looked like? And I mean, he's no Pierre Cariotti or anything, but
John Travolta.
But he looks much quicker even than he did at the beginning. Kyrie coming out and saying Harden's a point guard might have been Kyrie's way of saying, I'm going to score. Harden needs to get me the ball. But nonetheless, he's accepted the role. And that was huge. That was a big question mark going in. Was there enough ball to go around? That's it.
That's exactly it. And I think they're all meshing together pretty well. And all the accessory pieces are playing pretty well. DeAndre Jordan and they got a backup center have a good game last night. Joe Harris can still shoot the three. They're going to be a tough out. And when KD comes back, look out. One final question that we had one topic we didn't get to, but all things considered, I thought we got through a lot today. One final question, and I want you to pick one guy. If the Raptors can pick one of these three veterans just to band-aid them to the end of the year without making any trades, who would it be? Would it be Andre Drummond? Would it be Blake Griffin? So these are the two of the three, and the third guy, Al Horford. Which one? Florida guy. Which one would you take if you had a chance to take a flyer on one of these guys to get them through? Maybe help them get into the playoffs in the top 4.
You go, Dan.
I'm going Andre Drummond. Griffin's done. Horford's okay, but Drummond's having a revival year. You go with the guy that's hot right now if you're just going for this year. Go with Drummond.
For a completely different reason, Drummond. Because Drummond, you can bird right next year. And so that's huge because they've got cap space. And if you bring Drummond in, rather than wait until the offseason to try to sign him, you can bring him in now, keep those bird rights, use your cap space on another free agent, then use your bird rights to be able to sign him on top of the salary, and you can double dip it basically. 100% Andre Drummond. I hope they do it.
I like Al Horford myself. Brock?
Yeah, obviously I'm going with Horford.
Florida guy.
Florida.
Of course.
Yeah, he brought me so much joy back in that back-to-back run. But
he's a nice player, too. Smart guy, too, right? And he's still got a little bit left in the tank. So,
veteran stuff too.
Brock, what happened to Corey Brewer, man?
Right?
Well, you're showing love for your Florida. Horford, yeah. Noah, yeah. The third guy there is Brewer.
Corey Brewer's had a serviceable NBA career, considering how awful he was. He was actually played okay in the NBA.
I tried to find. I got the Florida basketball jersey somewhere packed downstairs, probably because it's too tight. But it's got the 13 on it. I was going to hang it up for because Noah retired or is retiring. One of the two.
That's right. He retired today.
Yeah. So I was going to have that up for him. But yeah, obviously I'm taking Horford. But I do agree with the other guys from Drummond. If he's hot, take it. It's a short season and whatever.
All right, boys. Well, that's it for our NBA sort of rundown. But we got one last thing to discuss. Brock and I have been playing this game called Legend or Not a Legend. And Brock, I'll let you take it from here, Pally.
I have no intro for the legends or not legends. This is Pep designed this game. It's basketball themed, obviously, this week. So I'm going to let him play. And basically, I'm going to name off. It's the Toronto Raptors. I'm going to name you off a player, and you're going to let us know if he's a legend or not. And the criteria is that if this player is to go back to Toronto, does he? I think Pep used the term "key to the city." But I think is he, welcomed back to Toronto at the stadium and treated like a legend.
Like number retired legend or not quite that level?
Doesn't have to be number retired. Well, no, because these guys don't have numbers retired unless I don't think anything.
So maybe we'll do it. I'll go first. Dave, you go yes or no, the legend or not legend, then Dan, and then we'll just go to the next player. Okay?
Yeah.
This will be fairly quick.
Yeah.
All right. Chris Bosh.
Legend.
Legend.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Wow.
No, I don't think Chris Bosh is a legend.
Bob Barker over here. Okay.
DeMar DeRozan.
Oh, God. Legend.
Hesitation. Crazy.
All right. Kawhi Leonard. This is Toronto.
I guess it's the quality over quantity. Legend.
He brought us a title, man. Legend.
Yeah, I guess.
Not legend.
Yeah.
Jose Calderon.
No, not quite.
No.
Damon Stoudemire.
No.
Mighty Mouse is a legend.
No.
Was he the first draft pick?
He is. He's a legend for that very reason.
And they disappeared 3 years later.
I know.
Tracy McGrady.
Raptors? No.
Oh, is he legend? Yeah, he is.
Only played 2 years.
More than 2 years? Come on.
No.
You guys are harsh on your legends.
Yeah.
I'm soft.
Only few people get to be legends.
Valanciunas.
I love JV, but no, unfortunately not.
I'm a no.
No.
Andrea Bargnani.
You know what, man? he had some good numbers for about 3-year span there. He was 25 points a game, and he was the prototypical. He was the next Nowitzki, but no.
Well, PK would definitely make him a legend. Is his favorite Raptor, but
So not.
Morris Peterson.
No.
Oh, Pete.
No.
You know what? He's not for the Raptors, but he is for me. He's one of my favorites. So I'm gonna, for that reason, I'll say yes.
I like that.
No.
My only Mo Pete memory was the one where he hoisted up with his
That's where he hoisted it up. That's exactly
where he beats the Wizards, and that's pretty much the highlight of his career.
I kept wanting more from him. I don't know why you guys.
I agree with you.
Yeah, McGrady only played 3 years with the Raps.
Big Serge
good,
Ibaka.
Ibaka?
Yeah.
You know what? That whole team, I'd be hard to say no. I'm going to say yes.
I'm going to say yes, too, for that very reason. That bringing the title, those key pieces, every single one of them deserves that legend status.
I would put him yes only because he was part of the build towards the title. The Kawhi's a no because he was only there the 1 year.
Interesting.
So Marc Gasol, is he in the same boat then?
Yeah, for me he is. Yeah.
He's only there that 1 year. I'm assuming Dan's going to say no. I say yes.
No.
Okay. Vince Carter.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. But,
100% yes.
Put basketball on the map in Canada single-handedly.
I was going to say, I'll plug that. If you haven't watched The Carter Effect on Netflix, my goodness, what are you guys doing, basketball fans listening? It's so good.
If you do retire numbers, he might be the only Raptor that gets his number retired.
Yeah.
Oh, Kyle Lowry, buddy.
Yeah, argument. Charles Oakley.
Oh.
For the Raptors, I'm going to have to say no.
No, but he was my favorite player when he played.
You got a little Mo Pete vibe like me.
Lowry, we already know you guys addressed that. Marcus Camby.
And again, not long enough. And then, Marcus Camby he had all the success with the Knicks when they surprisingly made the finals that 1 year. Camby was a big part of that. But with the Raptors, I'm going to say no. He was part of the Oakley deal.
No
for me too. No for me.
Okay, so I got 5 left. Alvin Williams.
No, my arguably my least favorite Raptor of all time.
Really? I got such a soft spot for him. He's a no for me, but I've got a soft spot for him.
He can't run, can't jump. He is awful.
Yeah, I'd say no too, but his shot was nice.
Antonio Davis.
Ooh, that's a tough one. I'm gonna say no, only because I just unspectacular on the court. Hard worker, but
no for me.
Dan?
I'm going yes. I think he was a big part of that pedigree of what that team was at the time.
Interesting.
All right.
Okay.
Charlie Villanueva. What's the Steelers quarterback there?
Poor guy. Yeah, Josh Dobbs. He's Josh Dobbs. That's a hard no.
No.
And to Charlie's credit, he actually was like, look, it's not my fault I got drafted 9th. Like, what do you want me to do? He actually said that. Like, NBA's hard. He, in an interview with ESPN, he said, NBA's hard. I am not bigger than some of the guys I'm playing against like I was in college and with Connecticut. Like, this is hard. And he struggled. So, no.
So, no. For the fact checker there, McGrady was 3 years with the Raptors.
Mm-hmm.
Last 2, Amir Johnson.
Oh, I loved Amir Johnson, man. That guy worked his tail off, and he was a big part of that 2014 team that lost to the Nets in the first round. I'm gonna go. Yeah, he worked his tail off.
I loved Amir Johnson, but I'm still saying no.
Yeah, I'm not sure I go with legendary yet, there, Pep, but he was important.
Yeah, it's a strong word, but love that guy.
All right, the last one I got is Freddie Van Vliet.
Too soon, but not too soon. He's going to end up. I'm going to put him in the not a legend quite yet, but he's going to be.
Yeah, like at this moment, he's probably not there yet. He was a big part of that title, and the fact that he re-signed and he's going to be, I'll even say probably the face of this team for the next couple of years. I'm going to say yes, just because I know he's going to be.
He's going to be.
Yeah, I'm saying yes. The guy hit 50 points without hitting a free throw. I mean, that's
remarkable.
Very impressive. Well, good job, fellas.
Well, JYD, Junkyard Dog.
I thought JYD was coming, and I was like, I'd be hemming and hawing on him because I love JYD.
I thought if I put him on the list, it was it was going to be. I was only doing it because I liked him, and I was like, he's not really that
Georgetown, baby.
yes. All right, that concludes Legends or Not. Now
There was no Florida Gators flavor there. I thought maybe a Matt Bonner to give you some Florida. No.
Oh, the Red Rocket. Oh, Brock, we had to pay a bill before we play our blooper.
We definitely do. I was just going to say you got to do that,
guys. You got to stick around for the blooper.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, the blooper.
Is there any music to go with this?
There is.
Oh, beautiful. Guys, today's show is brought to you by Ken Tripp Real Estate. If you're looking to invest in real estate and don't know where to start, Ken is an experienced investor and can show you the way. So ask Ken how to get started. That's a great song.
Hey, he asked for it. We got it for him.
The $1 Million Man.
Such a good song.
All right, Brock, why don't we end the show with our UC blooper of the week?
The UC blooper of the week. All right, let me see if I can pull this sucker up here.
Maybe you can give it a description too.
In Ottawa, collisions, Nesterov and Anderson, but that high energy Giordano giving it to them. And you can see the Flames are trying to drum up some more energy, but a scary moments ago as Sean Monahan takes
guys
one
are
to the
running
side
into
of the
each
head.
other.
It's a physical
and
one.
And then Johnny Gaudreau.
A rough place in Ottawa, collisions, Nesterov and Anderson, but that high energy Giordano
warm up, and you can see Giordano
the
just talking to his boys, saying like, "Get your heads into it." And what happened? They got smoked by Ottawa last night.
It's a physical one.
There was one other thing that happened in the warm-ups. The coach, I guess you know how they all sort of go back to the room for a second. When they came back out, their assistant coach slipped and fell. So that was all in one warm-up. What a hot mess! And then Ottawa laid the lumber to him. So
you told me that last night. You pointed it out, and I almost went and threw money on Ottawa too. I was like, well, that's just not going to be Calgary tonight. I didn't, and therefore I am still in the loss column. All right, fellas, that brings us to the end of the show. We really appreciate you guys being on. As mentioned before, we're going out to Biggie Smalls. Sky's the limit. We're going to get you guys back on for the playoff edition. Playoffs, we're going to have that. Playoffs. Every time he's on, because he doesn't talk basketball unless it's playoffs. His predictions for playoff only. Thanks a lot for coming out, fellas.
Thanks for having us, boys.
Thanks, boys.
Never been as broke as me. I like that. When I was young, I had 2 pair of leads. Besides that, the pinstripes and the gray. The one I wore on Mondays and Wednesdays. I'm sewing tigers on my shirt and alligators. You want to see the inside? I see you later. Here come the drama. Oh, that's the with the fake. Wow. Why you punch me in my face? Stay in your place. Play your position. Here come my intuition. Go in this pocket. Rob him while his friends watching. Clock. Here comes respect. This crew's your crew, or they might be next. Look at their man eye. Big man, they never try, so we roll with them. Stole with them. I mean, loyalty. Put me milks at lunch. The milks with chocolate. The cookies, butter crunch. 88, Oshkosh, and blue and white duck. Ask the
Just keep on pressing on. Sky is the limit, and you know that you can have what you want. Press on. Sky is the limit, and you know that you can on. Just keep on pressing on. Sky is the limit, and you know that you can have what you want. Be what you want. Have what you want. Be what you want.
I was ashamed, my crew was lame. I had enough heart for most of them, long as I got stuff for most of them solved. Even when I was wrong, I got my point across. They depicted me the boss. Of course, my orange box cutter make the world go round. Plus some say my homegirls now start stacking. Dabbled in packing. Nickname Medina, make the scenes took my Nina. From gym class to in-glass, pass off and global. The only with a mobile. Can't you see like total? Getting larger and wasting taste. Ain't no telling where the spelling is heading. Just in case, keep a shell at the tip of your melon. Clear the space. Your brain was a terrible thing to waste. 88 on gates, snatch initial nameplate, smoking with real life. Begin to kill us, praying God forgive us for being sinners. Help us out.
Sky is the limit, and you know that you keep on. Just keep on pressing on. Sky is the limit, and you know that you can have what you want. Be what you want. Sky is the limit, and you know that you keep on. Just keep on pressing on. Sky is the limit, and you know that you can have what you want. Be what you want. Have what you want. Be what you want.
After we That's the enterprise, and I ain't have to be in school by 10. I then began to encounter with my counterparts on how to burn the block apart. Break it down into sections. By these selections, some use pipes, others use injections. Syringe sold separately. Frank the deputy, quick to grab my Smith and like my was missing. To protect my position, my corner, my layer. While we out here, say the hustler's prayer. If the game shakes me or breaks me, I hope it makes me a better man. Take a better stand, put money in my mom's hand. Get my daughter this college plan, so she don't need no man. Stay far from timid, only make moves when your heart's in it, and live the phrase, sky's the limit. See you chumps on top.
Sky is the limit, and you know that you keep on, just keep on pressing on. Sky is the limit, and you know that you can have what you're pressing on. Sky is the limit, and you know that you keep on, just keep on pressing on. Sky is the limit, and you know that you can have what you want, pressing what you want. Sky is the limit, and you gotta keep pressing on, just keep on pressing on. Sky is the limit, and you know that you can have what you want, what you want. Sky is the limit, and you gotta keep on, just keep